Now at 9, a bicyclist is dead after an accident with a Newton County Sheriff's deputy. Plus, how members of the area homeless population are staying cool during this intense heat.
The inflation rate out Wednesday was even higher than economists had predicted. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll break down the numbers coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Joplin police say the cyclist hit by a Newton County Sheriff's deputy's patrol vehicle has died. The accident happened around 2 a.m. last Thursday near East 32nd and South Findlay Streets in Joplin. Authorities say the deputy's SUV collided with a motorized bicycle, sending its rider, 44-year-old Ryan Hunnell of Joplin, to the hospital. Police today announced Hunnell died of his injuries on Sunday. JPD's major crash team is investigating. Former Ottawa County, Oklahoma prosecutor in Ottawa County pleads guilty to offering favorable treatment in court proceedings in exchange for sexual favors. Authorities say 44-year-old Daniel Giraldi of Joplin also provided drugs to the defendant he made the agreement with. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession of oxycodone with intent to distribute and 4 counts of honest services fraud. As part of the plea agreement, Giraldi is going to forfeit his Oklahoma bar license. He's going to be sentenced at a later date. A Joplin woman accused of killing a Joplin couple in a crash learns her sentence for an earlier crime. Rita Glasgow was originally charged with drug possession in 2017. In February of 2020, she was charged with drug trafficking. Then, authorities say in January of last year, Glasgow was intoxicated when she drove a stolen pickup into an SUV. Terry and Rhonda Koppel of Joplin both died from injuries in that crash. In February of this year, Glasgow began serving a 7-year prison sentence for the 2017 case after she failed to complete a court-ordered program. Well, now a judge has sentenced her to serve 4 years to be served concurrently for the 2020 case. She's already pled guilty in the fatal crash, and she's to be sentenced in that case on July 25th. Lewis, Joplin firefighters today battled a fire at the Owens Corning Complex on State Line Road. We have no reports of injuries, thankfully. The fire was reported around 1:45 this afternoon. Some firefighters cut a hole in the roof, apparently to get access to the fire. Others worked inside the building. The Owens Corning plant in Joplin makes insulation. Nick Kelly joining us now. First look at the forecast. It seemed a little bit cooler this evening, really. Yeah,
this evening, and we could definitely use it, Jordan, because with all the dry air in place, it was nice at lows this morning. Started at 62. But it's been a very quick warm-up throughout the day, pushing highs near 95 degrees. We sat underneath mostly clear skies all day long. That's how we'll stay for the rest of the night, thanks to high pressure still working over the state of Missouri. In the meantime, other temperatures outside of Joplin, we're seeing some mid-70s on the board already. Most of us, though, still in the lower to middle 80s. But eventually, we're all going to drop back at least into the upper 60s for tonight. But unfortunately, Jordan, the returning south and southeast breeze will be just enough to send us back into the upper 90s for tomorrow. Maybe a slight uptick in the humidity, but the increasing humidity could give way to rain chances possibly by the weekend. We'll see how those chances look here in a bit.
Nick Kelly, thank you. Extreme heat is hard on everyone, right? Especially though the homeless community. They're outside for much of the day, of course. KOAM's Amber Jenkins says more.
The summer in the 4 states area has been difficult. The homeless community has to find ways to stay cool during these heat advisories.
So the most common question around this time, not just this summer, but any summer is, hey, are you guys a cooling station? Because we do have that provided throughout different spots in Joplin.
Souls Harbor understands how damaging extreme heat can be. The homeless community doesn't always have access to places to avoid the heat.
Having a heat stroke and you happen to be coming by Souls Harbor, we are going to call 911 for you. We're going to bring you inside. We're going to get you cooled off as much as we possibly can.
Souls Harbor partnered with local organizations to run cooling stations throughout Joplin. However, on extreme hot days, the homeless community needs more.
You don't really ever get cooled down, but I don't know. Probably about 15-20 minutes and so.
Even though the homeless community has resources like Souls Harbor, Tim wants the entire community to be aware of the struggle to stay cool.
But then sometimes not so much and stuff like that, and they probably just don't realize, or a lot that's going on, but they never really ask here,
In Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Souls Harbor is accepting any donations to help the homeless deal with this heat. The planned closure of the railroad overpass and Rangeline Road in Joplin has been delayed because of construction scheduling issues. It had been scheduled to close this coming Monday to allow contractor crews to demolish the bridge and begin work on a new one. Authorities have not yet announced a new closure date. Uncertainty about abortion rights after the Supreme Court ruling overturning Roe v. Wade has prompted more men to ask about vasectomies. KOAM's Jalen Banks says why some Missouri men may face unexpected obstacles when trying to get one.
In wake of the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, there's been a spike in men getting vasectomies. The state of Missouri has conscience laws, which give healthcare providers the right to choose whether or not they provide certain services due to religious freedoms. That is what one Missouri man ran into.
He asked if I had any children. I told him no, that I also didn't want any children. He then said that he wouldn't perform the vasectomy on principle because he's a devout Catholic and that it's his personal belief that everyone needs to provide at least 2 children to the church, and so he wouldn't perform the vasectomy on anyone that didn't already have 2 children.
Chris says the reason why he wanted the vasectomy done is because his partner has complications giving birth.
She has health issues that would make it hard for her to become pregnant, but if she did become pregnant, would most likely, end in miscarriage or complications. And so with all the new laws going into effect, we discussed it, and it was just going to be simpler for me to get the vasectomy and just avoid all that altogether.
The Dr. Hogan visited is listed with Mercy Health System, and Mercy provided this statement. As a Catholic healthcare system, Mercy abides by the ethical and religious directives for the Catholic healthcare services. With the Supreme Court ruling on Roe v. Wade, we will continue to provide excellent healthcare consistent with those directives. In Joplin, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
Now, men in other areas have also had a similar situation. A clinic in Florida has seen vasectomy appointments double for 30 or younger males with no children ever since the court ruling. New numbers show U.S. prices hit a 4-year high in June, with the cost of necessities far outpacing wage hikes. The White House says it sees signs inflation may be slowing down, with the hopes of it all going downhill from here. Those are hopes, though, of course, for the time being. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports now from D.C.
Anyone who's pumped their gas, paid their rent, or filled up their grocery cart lately knows prices have been skyrocketing. But to see the inflation numbers in black and white is still a shock.
My dad went on a shopping trip and they checked out as $300.
It wasn't even that big of a shop up. I mean, it was kind of big, but it wasn't like a super big $300 shop up,
Economists are also doing a double take. June's consumer price index, released Wednesday, was higher than predicted, clocking in at a blockbuster 9.1% over the previous year, the highest increase since 1981. Some parts of the economy, including housing, may not have hit their peak.
I think it gets worse before it gets better, to be quite frank.
The White House is pushing back on the June numbers, saying they don't reflect the recent drop in gas prices.
Average national gas prices have fallen every day for nearly 30 days. Since mid-June, prices are down 40 cents a gallon.
Republicans argue Democrats have helped push inflation numbers even higher.
They were fueled directly by the reckless spending spree that Democrats rammed through on party line just last year.
Historically, higher inflation means consumers cut their spending, which makes up 70% of the U.S. economy. A drop in shopping means it's more likely the U.S. could slide into a recession. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Ned Wall served in the U.S. Army from 1941 to 43. And we are proud to thank and salute Ned Wall, a native of Parsons, Kansas, by the way. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Nick Kelly's next with a complete look at the forecast a bit later. Webb City Little League softball preparing to head to the state tournament in Columbia. You're going to hear from the team in sports.
We're excited. It was nice that all the dry air that we had in place this morning and today helped out with temperatures. I should clarify, at least for this morning, because there were a couple of spots that it was almost a bit chilly to start this morning. Yeah, we had lower to middle 60s all across the board, but that same dry air that allows us to cool down so much sent us back into the mid-90s this afternoon, especially around Joplin. I want to keep an eye on the drought tracker, though, because this is going to get a fresh update as we head into tomorrow. I want to see if Tuesday's rain chances that came on through is going to keep our abnormally dry conditions from overtaking any more of the area. I don't think it'll scrub any of this out per se, but this will be something that we'll keep an eye on, and hopefully weekend rain chances, if they can still hold together, can eat away at this by the time we head into the weekend. So that's one of a few things that I'm tracking. Fortunately, we're going to keep things quiet with mostly sunny skies locked in for tomorrow. Then I'll watch for those weekend rain chances. But even with that in the forecast, I'm still seeing temperatures wanting to stay hot as we go through the next several days. At least it looked nice from 7th and Ridgeline now with the setting sun. We are seeing the numbers drop. 84 in Joplin. But in East Breeze at 5, still keeping the humidity at 37%, so we don't have a heat index. In fact, it feels about a degree cooler if you're stepping outside for any late night exercise or late errands outside. Everyone's pretty much in the mid-70s to the mid-80s. These are numbers that will continue to drop. I will say, though, even though we trended hotter today, it wasn't unbearably hotter. We had temperatures at most right now pushing 7 degrees at the most, warmer than where we were at this time last night. Let me take you to the surface map and broaden the picture out, because this area of high pressure, it kept us quiet today, but as it starts scooting off to the east, that's going to allow the southeast and southerly breeze to bring in even more hotter air starting tomorrow. I want to watch this cold front by the weekend, though. That's one part of the equation in terms of any potential weekend rain chances. Then any disturbances riding around the ridge and coming down the pipe, that will also aid in our potential for weekend rain chances. But overall, you see that upper level ridge, that's going to be the main driver in terms of temperatures, though. We're quiet for the rest of the night, thankfully. And again, we will cool off a little bit more. We'll drop back into the upper 60s to start the morning out. Already in the mid-90s, I think, for a good number of us by tomorrow morning. But then you can see how we push into the upper 90s, I'm afraid, for highs tomorrow. 68 in the morning, 93 by noon, highs near 99. We'll do it all over again for your Friday as that ridge tries to build in. But I want to watch for a weak wave that will send some partly sunny skies our way. That should keep us away from 100, but it could also maybe throw a random shower or storm our way. However, let's watch Saturday and Sunday. That looks to be our best shot for any meaningful rain over the next several days. And fingers crossed, if we see quite a bit of cloud cover and plenty of rain chances on Sunday, that'll keep highs in the lower 90s, which still hot, but better than the rest of the numbers on the board. 99 tomorrow, 97 Friday, near 100 again Saturday, and I think we will be around 100 by next Tuesday and Wednesday, Jordan.
So nice to get a nice cool down rain. We need one.
Yes, we do.
Nick Kelly, thank you. Hey, don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with KOAM Skywatch weather app. You can get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store, also the Google Play Store if you have an Android phone. No matter what, though, all you have to do is search for KOAM Skywatch weather app. Coming up, a little bit of positive progress in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Russia and Ukraine meet for rare face-to-face talks as both sides prepare for a new offensive in the east. I'm Lucas Tomlinson in Kyiv. I'll have the details coming up.
The world's leading provider of diagnostic information services says they will now start testing for monkeypox. Quest Diagnostics announcing they're going to launch what is believed to be the first commercially available test created and offered by a national lab provider that's going to detect the monkeypox virus. The test has been validated under federal regulations, uses swab specimens to determine if a person is infected. Quest says they expect to be able to test about 30,000 people a week by the end of July. A rare in-person meeting between Russian and Ukrainian officials raising hopes for an end to the blockade of badly needed food exports as the war grinds on. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has more now from Ukraine.
The focus turns to food on day 140 of the war in Ukraine. Officials from Ukraine and Russia meeting face-to-face for the first time in months, trying to broker a deal that would allow the export of millions of tons of Ukrainian grain and wheat. Those exports have ground to a halt amid a Russian blockade of the Black Sea. It's caused massive food instability and could soon prompt a global famine, which the Ukrainians blame squarely on Moscow.
Other countries are dealing with food and energy crises, and what led to this? Russia's cynical blockade of our seaports.
The talks come as the fighting in the east remains largely paused, although shelling and missile attacks continue from both sides, killing dozens. Ukrainian forces now bracing for a major new offensive as Russia builds up its troops in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions, saying more help is needed from the west, including stepped-up shipments of artillery and missile systems.
The deliveries of weapons have to be sped up. And all our friends and partners know that.
But there's also new intelligence suggesting Russia could be running out of resources, including military-grade drones, with their Iranian allies stepping up to help fill the gaps.
The Iranian government is preparing to provide Russia with up to several hundred UAVs. This is just one example of how Russia is looking to countries like Iran.
And on the diplomatic front, the U.S. is working ways on capping the price of Russian oil, potentially robbing Moscow of a major revenue source. In Kyiv, Ukraine, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Still ahead, more details into a recent mass school shooting.
New surveillance video shows police response in the deadly Uvalde school shooting. I'm Marianne Rafferty. I'll have more on that coming up.
Starbucks pulling its new chicken sandwich off its menu over quality concerns. The coffee chain says it's voluntarily stopped selling the chicken maple butter and egg sandwich. It happened just 5 days after the chicken sandwich was launched on June 21st. Now, the New York Post reports hundreds of people took to social media claiming the sandwich made them sick. Starbucks spokesperson says any claims of illnesses are not true and says taking the sandwich off the menu is not the results of an FDA-issued recall. Overdose deaths involving fentanyl and other synthetic opioids are reaching another record high. The CDC says close to 109,000 people passed away of drug overdoses for the year-long period that ended in February. According to the CDC, there was a slight dip in these fatalities in June, but they've risen again in the latest monthly data. However, nearly 73,000 deaths, more than two-thirds, were linked to synthetic opioids, including fentanyl, which set a new record. Sadness has turned to anger as new surveillance video is released from the deadly Uvalde, Texas school shooting. Uvalde residents are demanding officers be held accountable. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has more.
Tell your officers all that were there that day, been debriefed, asked what exactly did you do that day?
Uvalde, Texas residents demand answers after new surveillance video shows police standing in a hallway as a gunman opened fire on Robb Elementary School, killing 19 students and 2 teachers. At 11:33 a.m. on May 24th, the 18-year-old gunman entered the school armed with an AR-15 rifle and began shooting into a classroom. The first armed officers arrive in the hallway 3 minutes later. 2 approach the classroom but run back down the hallway after hearing gunfire. In the hour that follows, additional officers arrive but do not enter the classroom. One even appears to get hand sanitizer while waiting. 1 hour and 17 minutes after the first shots were fired, Border Patrol breaches the door and kills the gunman. Investigators were scheduled to show the full video to Uvalde residents this Sunday. Texas Department of Public Safety Director Stephen McGraw says he's, quote, deeply disappointed this video was released before all the families who were impacted that day and the community of Uvalde had the opportunity to view it. During a city council meeting on Tuesday, Uvalde's mayor criticized the investigation.
This has been the most unprofessional handled investigation that I've ever seen in my life.
On Sunday, a Texas House committee plans to also show its findings from a preliminary report. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Well, next, scientists say they've narrowed down how hot is too hot for our body. New research shows just how much heat is too much for the human body to handle. Penn State University researchers asked several young, healthy people, no more specifics there, just young, healthy people, okay, to sit inside a chamber. They increased the temperature and the humidity and tracked when the body temperatures of the people inside started to rise. Well, they found that 88 degrees Fahrenheit and 100% humidity, okay, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, 100% humidity, or 100 degrees, 60% humidity, that's when bodies don't cool down on their own. Researchers recommend when temperatures rise to find areas to cool down and stay hydrated to help keep your body temperature controlled. Yeah, in my opinion, this is trivial. You know, it's good to know, you know, this stuff, but bottom line, I remember when I was young, I was told if you get thirsty, you already have some catching up to do. So Just a reminder to continuously drink water throughout these hot days, right? All right, 30 more minutes news, weather, and sports coming away. Kansas Special Olympics hosting a bowling competition for area athletes.
President Biden begins his first Middle East trip as president with a stop in Israel. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll take a look at some of his top priorities while he's abroad coming up.
Kansas Special Olympics hosted a regional bowling competition over at Pittsburgh's Holiday Lanes. It's not my day today for certain words. I apologize. KOM Sagun Bamadali was there and has more.
The Kansas Special Olympics kicked off his Southeast Kansas Regional Bowling competition at Pittsburgh Holiday Lanes. Erin Fletcher, the Director of Grants and Development for Special Kansas, says events like this are important for athletes around the community who are eager to compete.
It's really important for these events to be in our area, so our athletes from around the area can come to someplace actually pretty local and compete against each other, but then also not just compete, but get to see some of their friends, get to be part of the community as far as having the community come out and celebrate them. So it's really nice for the community to come out and celebrate their achievements.
Dozens of athletes came out to throw some strikes. Jay Orn has competed in the Paralympics, and he says bowling offers him a chance to grow.
I enjoy bowling because it's a good learning competition to bowl against other people.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Shagun Bamdele, KOM News.
Fun times. The bowling competition is going to continue at Holiday Lanes tomorrow. Mercy Health System and Grail LLC, a healthcare company whose mission is to detect cancer early when it can be cured, today announced plans to offer a multi-cancer early detection blood test. Grail's Gawler test uses advanced testing capabilities to detect early cancer signals of more than 50 types of cancers. Mercy says this is the first of its kind in the testing system.
It actually looks for DNA markers, so a genomic or gene marker that is produced by different types of cancer cells depending on the type of cancer they are. So every time a cancer cell starts replicating, it starts throwing off these DNA markers.
An official says recommended cancer screenings in the U.S. currently cover only 5 types of cancers: breast, cervical, colon, lung, and prostate, and can screen just one at a time. Folks in the forested area gathered to show off some livestock. The annual Jasper County Fair kicked off today and is displaying a variety of animals, including cows and goats. The event includes cornhole tournament, live music, vendors, different shows with animals, of course. All ages are welcome to attend the event. Competitors say the event is a great way to meet and make new friends.
I mean, you always have your people that you know, but you always go and make new friends because someone's calf always gets loose and you got to help them get them back. Yeah.
The last event of the fair is going to be a market sale on Friday where people can bid on the competitors' animals to help them raise some money. The Vernon County Youth Fair is also up and running. Yeah, cowboy up. Today's events included a rodeo, mutton busting, and barrel racing. Look at that. This is the 77th year of the Youth Fair. All right, let's watch this. Come on now. You can stay on. Come on. All right. Fair runs through Saturday. I wanted to see if he stayed on. I really did. For some, learning history can be a little boring, to be honest, but the Crawford County Historical Museum wants to make it wacky. The museum today hosted their last Wacky Wednesday of the summer. The theme for today was County Fair. There were snow cones, yard games, puppies to pet, also some paintings. Officials say the activities allow children to learn history and have a little fun at the same time.
There's a lot of interactive displays here today. The kids can do some fun things outdoors. We've got a perfect day for it, and we're glad to share some of Crawford County history with this great group of kids here today.
If you are wanting to learn about upcoming events from the Crawford County Historical Museum, go ahead and visit our website, komnewsnow.com. Big box retailer strikes a deal with a struggling EV startup. Walmart placing an order for 4,500 all-electric delivery vehicles from Arkansas-based Canoo, with the potential to buy up to 10,000. An agreement like this is going to help Walmart get closer to a goal of going carbon neutral by 2040. The deal is a vote of confidence in Canoo, a company struggling with a number of issues, including cash flow, changes with executives, and this isn't good, batteries going up in flames. Many travelers are less happy with their stays away from home. According to J.D. Power's 2022 North American Hotel Guest Satisfaction Index study, the overall score was 822 out of 1,000. Now, that's an 8-point fall from the year before. While that might seem like a major dip to many of us, J.D. Power calls it, quote, statistically significant because of the size of the survey. The findings are based on more than 34,000 hotel guests for a year-long period that ended last May. President Biden's Middle East trip is underway with a stop in Israel today. The Biden administration trying to strengthen the cooperation the U.S. has with our allies in the region while also keeping a close eye on Iran and its pursuit of nuclear weapons. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has these details from Washington.
The connection between the Israeli people and the American people is bone deep.
President Biden is hoping his first Middle East trip as president can strengthen American interests in the region.
This historic visit reflects the deep partnership our nations share.
At the top of the agenda in Israel, Iran's nuclear program and reviving a 2015 deal the former administration did away with.
I think it was a gigantic mistake for the last president to get out of the deal.
On Wednesday, meetings with Israeli leaders full of fist bumps and kisses on the cheek as he talked with Holocaust survivors. Previously, the White House said the president would try to limit physical contact because of COVID. However, on the last leg of the trip, it's no secret the administration is leery of a friendly photo op with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. He is suspected of sanctioning the killing of American journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Likely on the agenda for that meeting, boosting oil production to bring down prices at home.
We have always operated at an intersection where we have to balance what's in our national interest, countering Iran, certainly stable oil prices, and also our own American values and Saudi's violation of human rights.
President Biden will also visit the West Bank and meet with Palestinian officials. He continues to affirm his support for a two-state solution. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
A bit later, no relief out west.
Hot and dry weather fueling wildfires across the U.S. I'm Jeff Paul near Yosemite National Park. I'll have the latest coming up.
Thanks to dry air that was in place behind our passing cold front, we warmed up really fast throughout the day. In fact, highs in the lower to middle 90s, but not before we had, for some of you at least, almost a chilly start to our July 13th. Lows this morning dropping to about 62 degrees across much of the area. Everybody else between 63 and 65. We are certainly thankful to have numbers like these, but unfortunately, we're going to have to see the thermometer trend upward some more, certainly as we go through the next several days. And I want to bring your attention to the drought tracker because this is going to get a fresh update as we go into tomorrow. So we'll see if Tuesday's rain chances that came on through will at least prevent any abnormally dry conditions from overtaking more of the area. But we'll also see if our possible weekend rain chances could probably put a dent in this little dry spell that we've been under. For now, though, the last of the sun's rays still setting on the western horizon, but nonetheless, looking good outside, 84 degrees, with it feeling like 83 thanks to all the dry air in place, that east breeze at 5. That dry air, by the way, resulting in humidity at 37%. That's certainly a tolerable air mass, and that's what's allowing some of us to drop back into the 70s already, but a lot of us still, let's say between 80 and 84 degrees. And yes, these numbers are hotter than where we were 24 hours ago, but only on the order of 1 to 8 degrees. So not unbearably warmer this evening. In fact, we're still set to drop back into the upper 60s tonight with mostly clear skies in place. We still have that light breeze out of the east for now, but as high pressure continues to work away over the Mississippi River, we're going to get a southerly and a southeast breeze back for tomorrow to see more hot air and maybe a little more humidity too. To the northwest, there's our next cold front that could give us rain chances by the coming weekend. And a couple upper level waves out west. It's going to ride around the top of the ridge and come on down the northwest flow of the jet stream. That will also try to aid in some returning rain chances, the best of which could be coming in by Sunday. We'll get to those rain chances in a bit here, but no rain chances to worry about for the rest of the night and for much of Thursday for that matter. We'll have mostly clear skies to start today. Again, everyone's starting out mild in the upper 60s, but the dry air that's still relatively in place will quickly take us into the lower to middle 90s by noon tomorrow and push us into the upper 90s. Maybe a couple spots closer to Tulsa near 100, but I think for a lot of us, 68 in the morning, 93 by noon. Stopping just shy of 100, but still hot nonetheless, with highs around 99. We'll keep skies quiet going into Friday morning, but the first wave ahead of the approaching front will bring in partly sunny skies, keep us in the upper 90s, and it could maybe give a spot or two a random shower or storm. But I want to watch Saturday's rain chances and Sunday's rain chances, because based on these projections here, that looks to be our best shot for good scattered rain and thunderstorms, certainly as we go through the next several days. The one thing I wish these rain chances would do, though, Jordan, to scrub the heat out. But we'll go from 99 Thursday, upper 90s Friday, back near 100 Saturday, maybe 93 for the coolest day of the 7-day stretch. But I'm afraid by the middle of next week, highs will be back near 100.
I'm tired of complaining about the heat, Nick Kelly. I'm ready to start complaining about the cold. Because I got to complain about something.
Yeah, we're going to get there at some point, but I'm with you. Like, I'm through with this summer already.
Nick Kelly, thank you so much as always, man. All right, coming up in sports, local golf standout earning a top 40 finish, facing more than 300 state champions from across the country. Plus, Kansas City Royals hosting the Detroit Tigers, aiming for their second straight series win. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Joplin Outlaws swept a doubleheader from the Chillicothe Mudcats last night. With those two wins, the Outlaws are now 16-18 overall, just one game back of first place in the Mink League South Division. Joplin tries to stay rolling, stay within a game of first, wrapping up their series with the Mudcats tonight. That one is still going. They're in the bottom of the 8th, with Joplin leading at 5-1. Fort Scott product Matt Campbell is 2 for 3 on the evening for the Outlaws with a pair of RBIs. The Kansas City Royals actually been pretty good this week. They've won 3 of their last 4 today, finishing up their series with Detroit. Early on, base hit into the corner scores 1. We're tied at 1. Then Edward Oliveira's on the ground. Little trouble out there. Hunter Dozier and Rivera both score. Makes it 3-1 Kansas City. More miscues for the Tigers in the 5th. Dozier flies it out to center. Riley Green can't make the play, smacks into the wall. Bobby Witt Jr. scores on that. Check out this play again. Hard collision out there, but the Royals win 5-2 for their second straight series win. In the National League, the St. Louis Cardinals hit the field for Game 2 of their 3-game series with the Dodgers. Now, the Cards took Game 1 last night 7-6. Tonight's game is in the top of the 8th. St. Louis leads at 6-5. Nolan Arenado is 1 for 3 on the evening with a 2-run home run for St. Louis. Webb City Little League Softball has 3 teams that will play in state tournaments this week. The 10 and under group will head to DeSoto, and the 14 and under team goes to Marshall, Missouri. While this 12 and under group here going to go to Columbia for the state tournament tomorrow. The Webb City 12s won a district championship last week, outscoring their opponents 47-7 in 2 games. Now here's the team on going to state and hopefully continuing to roll on to regionals and maybe more.
It would mean a lot because that's always been my goal and my dream and stuff to make it to the World Series.
Our goal is to go to state and be competitive. I think we have a good shot at that, and if we get to go on, that'd be even better. This team started about a month ago, so there's not a lot of time. So to have an extra week or 2, it means a lot. These girls have really come together and built relationships, so I'm glad it gets to continue.
Chanute's Drayton Cleaver is competing at the NHSGA National Invitational this week in Pinehurst, North Carolina. Now, that's a tournament featuring the top high school golfers across the country who've won their respective state championships as a team or individual. Now, here's how he did. Today was the final round of the 54-hole tournament. Cleaver went out and shot a 1 over 73 today. That moved him up 20 spots in the standings. He finishes tied for 34th in a field of more than 330 competitors. Now, we talked to him after his final round. You can check out our full story with Cleaver on the sports page at KOAMNewsNow.com. That's it for sports. We're back after this.
From Alaska to California to Utah, firefighters are hitting the ground running as the already busy wildfire season starts. Fox News correspondent Jeff Paul has the latest.
Multiple wildfires continue to burn across the western U.S. At Yosemite National Park, more than 500 firefighters are making progress containing the Washburn fire. It's already burned thousands of acres and threatened to damage the giant sequoias.
A lot of work to do on securing the northern and eastern edge of this fire.
What does that sound like? That was a tree coming down.
The fire in Yosemite is still growing, and so is containment. And crews on site say they are doing their part to keep the park's historic trees safe, like the renowned grizzly giant sequoia.
Arguably one of the most famous trees on Earth, and we've got a sprinkler system set up around it, and we're trying to give it some, preventative first aid, really.
The trees are not in imminent danger. There is a danger there. We have fire line around the Mariposa Grove.
Right now, active wildfires are burning in over a dozen states, with Alaska already on track to set a record this season.
We are seeing active fire behavior because of the hot, dry weather and also the fuels out there. Behind me is an example of what the terrain is like. So those combination of factors are causing flare-up.
According to the National Park Service, about 85% of those wildfires, whether set intentionally or by accident, were caused by people. As we head into some of the hottest months of the year, officials warn folks heading outdoors to be careful with any flammable items or things that can spark fires. Near Yosemite National Park, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Coming up, going to preview the new movie Where the Crawdads Sing. It's a coming-of-age story, a murder mystery, and a courtroom drama. Now, the popular book Where the Crawdads Sing is also a movie. We have a preview with its stars. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
The marsh taught me how to survive.
Bestseller turned movie Where the Crawdads Sing stars Daisy Edgar Jones and Taylor John Smith. The story follows Kaya, an outcast abandoned by her community, raising herself in 1960s North Carolina marshlands. When a young man she was seeing mysteriously dies, she's put on trial for murder.
I was very lucky, going to every scene with my character's entire inner life written for me in a beautiful book. So you always know when you're doing a book adaptation that it's always going to be a little bit different, and you can just hope to offer a different kind of perspective and angle into that character for an audience.
Edgar Jones has done other book-to-screen projects like Normal People, so she's familiar with the ads of an adaptation.
When I then did a film that wasn't, and I remember coming to a scene and feeling like I couldn't quite get it how I'd read it in the script, and then realizing that no one else knows.
Both stars immerse themselves in the place as well as the characters.
The Marsh is a huge character in this movie, and getting to film on location as opposed to in a stuffy soundstage somewhere. We got the exact feel that I at least experienced in the book, the humidity, the the thickness of the air around you, the cicadas.
Boat driving and fishing, and I did a little bit of drawing, and it was just really fun to we had a month of being in New Orleans before we actually started filming, so we'd go on canoe rides all around the bayou and things like that.
Swamp tours and nature walks.
The film brings star power behind the scenes too, with Reese Witherspoon producing and an original song by Taylor Swift. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. Going to leave you tonight with video of zoo animals in Spain getting some frozen treats to cool down. Yeah, that tastes pretty good, doesn't it? Be safe too. This all again tomorrow. See you then.